Jason McGuinness is my name, Chief Commercial Officer in Ryanairu. We're very happy to be here with the team this morning to announce our biggest ever Zagreb winter schedule. So we'll have 3 aircraft based in Zagreb this winter, importantly 90 direct jobs connected with those aircraft, and we're growing in Zagreb. We'll operate 19 routes in Zagreb this winter, 1 new exciting new route to Lanzarote, along with frequency increases on routes to Basel and Dublin to name but 2. So it's a very exciting time for Zagreb, exciting time for Ryanair, because we plan to grow over the next number of years. We placed an aircraft order in May this year, where we purchased an additional 300 aircraft from Boeing. So our plan is to double traffic numbers from last year to 300 million passengers by 2034. So it's a very exciting time.
Also, Zagreb is, I suppose, a part of these plans.
So Zagreb is certainly part of those plans. We're carrying 1.2 million passengers in Zagreb this year. That's 20% more than last year. And Zagreb certainly has the potential to be at least 5 million annual passengers with Ryanair over the next number of years. But that's a little bit over to Zagreb and the airport management team, since there is enormous competition for capacity at the moment across Europe, since no other airline other than Ryanair is growing across Europe at the moment. All the other airlines across Europe are operating significantly less capacity than they did prior to COVID. So there's enormous competition for Ryanair new routes and capacity. We're a pan-European airline. We're operating across the 36 countries across Europe. So regions, airports, countries are competing for Ryanair capacity. But Zagreb certainly has the potential to grow significantly with Ryanair over the next number of years.
Yeah, I must also notice that not only in Zagreb, but in all of Croatia, wherever your Boeing can land, you're landing in Croatia. So Osijek, you started a job with London again.
Yes,
any
correct.
plans for that? Because it's a kind of small airport, is it a risk? Or
there is, we are committed to the regions where we have a based aircraft in Zadar. As you say, we're operating to Osijek. I think Croatian tourism in general has enormous potential. I think there's the potential to double traffic numbers with Ryanair in Croatia over the next number of years. But again, I have to re-emphasize that Croatia is competing with countries across Europe, be it Spain, Italy, Portugal, non-European countries such as Jordan, Morocco, all of whom want to double tourism numbers over the next number of years. One of the problems in Croatia at the moment, as we know, is the season is too short. It's all packed into the summer months. We need to try and extend that season out over a longer time period. You have the resources here. You have enormous natural beauty here. There's no reason that we can't operate more capacity. Ryanair can't operate more capacity across the winter, extend the season, create more jobs across the winter. But we need people to work with us on that, be it the Croatian government, tourist board, tourism departments. Everyone needs to work hard on that, because as I say, I come back to it, that airports, regions, countries are competing for that capacity with Ryanair at the moment.
yeah, but bearing that in mind, in Zagreb especially, we have a strategy of the whole year tourism season. So how's that affecting? Maybe do you have, with city municipalities, with the tourist board, are you satisfied with the level of cooperation, and where do you see the space for improvement?
I think the airport team here and the local bodies have shown enormous foresight by getting Ryanair in. That was the main thing. Let's get Ryanair in. We have the 3 aircraft based here. We have almost 20 routes this winter season. And put that in context, Croatia are only operating 14 international routes from Zagreb this winter. But we shouldn't be just satisfied with that. We should look to see how can we get to 40, 50 routes over the next number of years. But we need everyone to work with us. And what we need for that is to reduce costs. Ryanair is a very simple business. We allocate capacity based on one metric, and that's costs. And I come back to it, when you have countries and airports across Europe competing for that capacity, then everyone here needs to be redoubling efforts to increase efficiencies and reduce costs. The key to more traffic in Zagreb is keep reducing costs, keep increasing efficiency.
Yeah, but at the same time, we have the inflation, the fear of economic crisis. So how can you cope with that? With the fuel prices going up, with all the other costs?
Fuel prices have gone up 30% in the last 2 months for us. We know, in Ryanair, know all about inflation. But in some ways, inflation, it's irrelevant to this conversation when you have that competition among airports and regions across Europe. The inflation numbers in Croatia are broadly irrelevant to the conversation when you're competing across Europe. So what I'd say is to everyone here, we've done a good job. Ryanair is here. We're committed here. We've 3 aircraft here. My team is working hard with the airport team here, but let's be ambitious. How do we get to 40, 50 routes and 5 million annual passengers?
Yeah, and how did you get those numbers? Fourth aircraft, maybe fifth one. So what are the projections for Zagreb concretely? Yeah.
Well, the projections are. I think we will continue to grow, but the question is, can we grow quicker than we're planning? Can we get to 5 aircraft, 6 aircraft within the next 2 or 3 years? And that's not for me to answer. That's for the airport team here to answer. How badly do they want that capacity?
So
lower costs equals Ryanair capacity.
So it all comes to cost.
It all comes to cost. It's all about cost.
Yeah, and when you have some market exploration or researches, it's interesting. Maybe in Croatia, what kind of the passengers are traveling, choosing Ryanair? Is it more for leisure, for the business?
We don't do any market research.
You don't do?
We don't do any market research.
So it's just like, it's cheap here, we travel there? Or?
One metric we look at, and that's cost.
So no further...
No, that's for Lufthansa. Lufthansa do lots of market research.
Mm-hmm. So Ryanair...
And where's that got them?
Okay, speaking on a global level, you have ambitious plans with doubling the number of passengers from 183 million, if I'm right, to 300 million.
300 million, yes, correct,
yeah.
You're right.
But at the same time, European Commission are not a fan of aviation. Let's say some climate activists are not telling good things about the future of the aviation industry, because reducing the number of flights, number of slots, for instance, in Schiphol, what happened is like reducing of the number of flights. How can you bear with that, for instance, with the Commission?
I think if you look at what Ryanair is doing, we're investing in new aircraft. So our new aircraft, our 300 new MAX 10s, deliver 21% extra seats, reduce fuel consumption or fuel burn by 20%, and reduce noise emissions by 50%. So Ryanair is investing in the future. What I would say to the European Commission is we have a situation at the moment where long-haul travel accounts for over 50% of the emissions in Europe in aviation. 50% of the emissions, but only accounts for 6% of the traffic. Yet long-haul traffic pays no aviation taxes. All of the aviation taxes are paid by short-haul travel, by Ryanair passengers, while this long-haul pays nothing. Why? That's the question I'd be asking the European Commission.
At the same time, there is a petition, more than 1 million people signed a petition.
Correct, you're also correct. One of the big issues that we have at the moment is ATC, and ATC strikes.
How's that going on?
Our petition, I think, is closer to 2 million signatures at the moment. I think people are fed up being disrupted by a few French ATC controllers that disrupt aviation across Europe. We're calling to keep the skies over France open, as it is in Italy and Greece during ATC strikes. And I think it is undeniable that will happen over the next number of months. I think we'll be in a better situation next year on this, since a few French air traffic controllers cannot hold Europe to ransom. But on the general ATC reform, a reform of ATC and open skies would reduce fuel emissions by 10%. So that's another thing the Commission can do in the morning right away.
Yeah, we briefly touched the topic of the future of the aviation. So you mentioned 300 new Boeing's MAX 10s, but where do you see the future of the low-cost carriers? So are they in any places to improve?
I think in the future for very low-cost travellers is there will be only one low-cost traveller left in 10 years' time. That'll be Ryanair. I think the majority of the smaller low-cost carriers, such as EasyJet and Wizz, will end up as some part of IAG, Lufthansa, Air France. Ryanair will be the only large pan-European short-haul carrier left in 10 years' time. I've no doubt about that, since EasyJet's and Wizz's costs are far too high.
Yeah, so lowest fares remain, and at the same time, but there are some complaints, let's say, for the last-minute cancellation from the customers. How to maybe manage that, or are you planning on changing some of your policies, for instance?
Policies on
cancelling flights, let's say.
Because Ryanair doesn't cancel flights. We have the best punctuality and on-time performance record of any airline across all of Europe.
Yeah, but for instance, some when I was preparing for this interview, people told me two things. First, can you buy the cheapest tickets, and at the same time, can you ask about the flight cancelling? Because when the Zagreb was in reparation, and I think in May, you cancelled more than 100 flights. So
yes, and the majority of those were ATC, which were completely beyond our control. And that's back to the conversation we're having about these strikes in Paris. Unfortunately, when you're flying across Europe, French ATC takes up, it's not just the country
Yeah.
of France, they manage a lot of the airspace around France as well. So unfortunately, cancellations are unavoidable. And as you say, that's why we've taken our petition to the EU Commission. It is essential that ATC in France is reformed and reformed straight away, since it is disrupting flights across Europe and causing unnecessary delays on fuel consumption, which doesn't help the environment.
So there's someone else to blame for when your flight is cancelled. It's not about the.
Well, sorry, we have the best on-time performance record, best punctuality record bar none across Europe.
Yeah, but what about the crews in Ryanair pilots? It's not only the strikes of the ATCs, but you also face in Europe with the strikes of the.
We have a small number. I think we had a small number of strikes in Charleroi across the summer. The vast majority of our flights operated completely unaffected. We have 22,000 aviation professionals at the moment. We couldn't deliver 3,300 flights a day, every day, unless we have a very committed workforce, which we do.
And in the end, the plans for the region, not only Zagreb, but you mentioned earlier the press conference, Serbia, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Albania. So where do you see the perspective on the Balkans?
It's very exciting at the moment. You're right. We've opened 17 new routes from Tirana, which start at the end of next month. Very excited about that. Belgrade, we'd certainly look at it. It's certainly somewhere we'd look, but Belgrade's costs are too high at the moment. And as I said, it comes back to the capacity piece. There's 20% less capacity in Europe at the moment, so you have airports across Italy, UK, Portugal, Poland, all competing for that capacity. So it's a very competitive environment. My door is always open for Belgrade once they reduce their costs.
Yeah, and so the main message is keep the cost low, so you keep the Ryanair on your airport.
Keep your costs low. It's all about efficiency. Efficiency and low cost.
Yeah, and maybe for the end, the message for the Croatian passengers for the Croatian.
For Croatian passenger, we're very committed to Zagreb. We're very committed to Croatia. We want to continue to grow here. We want to continue to bring direct connections here, and I think we'll do that. We'll work hard with the Zagreb airport team to do that. So hopefully we're back here year after year announcing more new routes, more flights, and more aircraft.